Hello, everyone. Welcome to Live Trading Thursday. My name is David Verbruggen. I'm going to be your host today. I am really excited to be with you today. I say that every week, but you know what? This week especially, I have something very, very exciting to show you guys. We recently had a really nice update made to Charts by TradeWay. I'm going to be highlighting that today. So today's going to look a little bit different. I still want us to go ahead and take a look at some tickers. So feel free to throw those tickers in there. And at the end of me previewing some of the updates on Charts by TradeWay, we're going to go through however many tickers that we've got that you guys have put in. So we may go a little long today, but that is okay. But I want to go ahead and share with you guys this new update that our developers of Charts by TradeWay have come up with. And I think it's going to be a game changer in the workflow of how we as traders operate within the platform. So let's jump in and let's take a look at this together. I'm going to share my screen here. All right, so here we go. Got Charts by TradeWay. Do a quick refresh. And you might be thinking, well, I mean, it doesn't look a whole lot different right now, and until you come up here to the top left. If you remember, we always used to have this history section down here on the left, right? Let me make sure I can see your comments. Okay, there we go. And we still have that. It's now called recents. But what can you now also do? You can go ahead and pull up watch lists that you have. So for example, I have, David Mitchell watch list that I can pull up here. I've got other watch lists. Any personal watch list that you have up there, you could look at. Iron condors. Maybe there's some tickers that I'm stocking for iron condors. And so you can actually work through and process a watch list right next to the chart. This is something that has been a long time coming, and we're excited to share that with you. So I'm going to walk through a couple steps here with you guys so that you can see exactly how this works. All right, let's go and kind of start from the beginning here. Go to the watch list tab. And if we look here, you can see all your personal watch lists, and you can create more in there. But you've also have the preset watch lists that have been already vetted for fundamentals, and those are going to be right here. They're titled stocks, options, spreads, and covered calls. Seems kind of out of order, just auto defaults to alphabetical order, so that's why you have that there. So let's go ahead, and you can't edit these because we want you to be able to have the original lists available all the time. But we can easily just copy those into a personal watch list and then edit from there. So we're going to go ahead and walk through those steps real quick. So we're going to come up here. You click this button right here. It's going to let you create a new watch list. So let's go ahead and put in new options list. Now, whenever you start a watch list, you're going to have to add at least one ticker just so that the watch list can anchor to a ticker. Me personally, I like to use .spx. I just know that's just there to anchor. So I'm going to add that in there, and now I can go ahead and create that. And there you go. We have our options list set up. Now I can go ahead, come in here, and let's say we're going to choose options. Again, this is formerly known as the David Mitchell A+ watch list. We've renamed that to just simply options. So I can go ahead and click the check mark box right here, select all these guys, all of them, and I'm going to this sideways arrow. I'm going to click that, and I'm going to send all these to a selected watch list. I'm going to put in my new options list. See that? Symbols added to selected watch list. And now if I go back to the options list here, I have them all selected. Now, instead of selecting 20 of them at a time, sending them to research, and then kind of whittling it down and then going back and forth, I can now just go straight to the chart. And I can pull up the options list right here. Here it is. This is the David Mitchell A+ watch list on the chart, and I can edit as necessary. So if, for example, let's say, oh, I don't like AN because look at that. It's just tanking right there. We can go ahead and get rid of that. You can get rid of any of these that you don't want just by clicking the little X at the top right. Let's say You want to add something, right? Let's put in here Southwest Airlines. I always use Southwest as an example. And let's say you wanted to add that. How do we go ahead and just add it directly from the chart here? When you have it pulled up, you come here to the left side, and you're going to see this send symbol to selected watch list. You can do that. Choose the options list, and it's added to the options list. Go back to it, and it's all alphabetical order right now. Let's see. It should have gone in there. Oh, there it is. It's through right at the top. I thought it was alphabetical order. It just threw right at the top. There it is. So you can add things to your watch list as well. And then when you come back into the watch tab, it is there as well. So this is a nice, neat feature right here. You can go through any of your personal watch lists and just make changes as necessary. Again, if you like that history function, that's still there. It's just called recents now. But I know a lot of us are going to like to be able to work with a watch list right next to the chart as well. You can also do something like going into the scans, right? Let's create, I know this is different, guys. Feel free to throw any tickers in that you want to look at right after this, because we're going to be done with this little demo in about 5 minutes here. And I'd love to still work through a few tickers with you guys. But this is pretty exciting stuff that we've been waiting months for. So I'm going to geek out a little bit here with you guys. Let's go ahead and create a new watch list, and we'll just call it uptrends. I can spell uptrends. There we go. And again, remember, what do? We got to anchor this. So I'm just going to type in .spx just to anchor it. There we go. Create. And now we have uptrends. It's pretty much empty right there. But let's go to our scans. And let's take a look at the outlook. And you can see what are some stocks that have a bullish outlook, bearish outlook, stagnant, or are they volatile? We're going to look at bullish because we're talking about uptrends, right? And chart pattern, rising channel. There's only 3 of them in there right now, which kind of makes sense because we're in a bear market. I knew that there wouldn't be this many. If you go to the bearish outlook, like if you're going to look at downtrends, chart pattern, where to go? Declining channel. There's 100. It maxed out. There's 100 of them in there. But we're going to go ahead and do chart pattern, rising channel. I'm going to click on that. Here we go. I can, again, click the check mark box, select all these guys. What am I going to do? I'm going to send them to that watch list. Uptrends. Added to uptrends. There you go. Don't even have to check in the watch list or in the watch tab anymore. I just come straight to the chart here, uptrends, and here we go. There they are. Now, of course, this wasn't an uptrend until today's gap down. It's kind of a crazy gap down right there. Be interesting to figure out what happened with that one right there. But look at this one, UNM. That's in a solid uptrend, right? Here we go. We're looking at tickers again. Let's just start right here. If you guys got any other tickers you want to look at, throw those in as well, because we'll look at that. But what could we do with something like UNM? You know, we could still trade options on it as long as the bid-ask spread and the open interest is good enough. But you know, the average volume, probably looking at 1.5 million, maybe 2 million right there. It's been uptrending nicely. Bounce off the 50 there, bounce off the 20 there, getting pretty hot. What's one thing that we have to watch out for? This is going to be true of all stocks around this season. Earnings, maybe, earnings season. Yeah, we got earnings coming up November 1st. So if you were looking at a very short-term trade, you could consider this. But anything longer, maybe like a monthly credit spread, we're going to want to wait for earnings to pass. So maybe in a couple weeks, we could revisit this. And if that uptrend is still looking strong, then we could consider that. Could also just start throwing some lines on here to get ready. You can see that was previous resistance and then turned into support, made a high or low. See, low, high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, right? That's a nice looking uptrend right there. Wouldn't mind it coming back a little bit, maybe after earnings. If it has pulled back and bounced again off the 20, that would be a really nice entry for a bullish position. And you don't have to do options. We'll take a look at the options chain in a second here, but simple step one stock trade, nothing wrong with that at all. What if we had done that on this day right here? Nice bounce off the 50. And at the end of the day, we get in right at $39 a share. And if we had held that, well, where would we be today? Oh, we'd be up about 6-7% or so. Not bad for, what is that, 3 weeks? 3 weeks on a simple stock trade. That's solid stuff right there. Let's take a look at the options, see if they actually do. Okay, initial look right here, you see the liquidity. That's the first thing I look at. You can look at some of this other stuff too. We're not going to dive into that right now. If you want to dive in, click that little question mark. There's about a 9-minute video that dives into this whole thing right here. Liquidity is in the green. So I'm already interested. I'm already thinking, okay, that's looking pretty good. Again, the problem is going to be earnings, because earnings is on November 1st. And unless we're going to choose tomorrow's expiration, which I would not recommend, then we're going to be stuck with next month's expiration after earnings. Again, that's going to be a challenge, but let's pretend you wait for earnings to pass, and the day after earnings, you get in with, we'll probably just choose this December 16th expiration. Let's see what we got. And there may not be the best open, open interest is actually decent. The bid-ask spread could get better. That's about a 10% bid-ask spread right there. It could get better, but it's not awful. It's not necessarily one to nix the trade on. So that could also get better after earnings as we get about a month away from this expiration, because it's a bit far out right now. Let's take a look at that third one on the list, SARK. What did that look like? Okay, here we go. Here's another one that's in a decent uptrend. Let's throw this on here. That line is actually really pretty. Okay, here we go. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 touches. What do we think about this trade right here? Do we like it? Do we not? I like the pattern. I like the pattern a lot, actually. It is an ETF, so keep that in mind. It's not going to be a specific company. I'm not too familiar with this specific ETF, so you'd have to do a little bit of research on to see, what industry, what sector are we talking about right here. But the pattern looks really nice. One advantage about ETFs, they don't have earnings. You can see there's no earnings down below. So if, ETFs could be an instrument to consider when we're in earnings season if you're just not finding much out there, because you don't have to worry about earnings with ETFs. This day would have been a really nice buy day on Tuesday. That's coming right back down to this uptrending support line. Nice clear candle. Don't like the tail as much, but you throw a tight stop out, maybe just below the 50. That could have been worth an entry as well. Today, right now, it's gonna be a little tough to enter. I would love to see this thing go up, come back down, and bounce again. Now, what if it were to just fail from here and come back down? You could take that entry, but remember, then it didn't make a higher high. What do we have here? We have a low, high, a higher low, a higher high, higher low, a higher high, higher low again. But if this is as high as it gets and it moves back down to the support line, we did not make a higher high. That would show a weakening of that movement, a weakening of the pattern, and a higher probability that it breaks down. So I really would like to see this thing continue to move up. And, it started up a little bit, came down to the 20, produced another bounce, and has been heading up again. So there still is, a chance this thing continues to move up. What if it could make a higher high and then come back down, bounce, and maybe you get in at 66 or something like that? You could be looking at potential profit targets, 72, somewhere around that range as well. And, which strategy do you use? Again, you could use a simple step one stock trade. You could potentially do a step two call. You can do that with ETFs as well. Well, let's take a look at the options chain. And again, guys, feel free to throw any tickers in that you want to look at. If you don't have any, that's okay too. This will be the last one we'll look at if we don't have anything else that comes in. But let's take a look here. So SARK, again, this ETF, look at the liquidity. I like the liquidity. It's in the green, so that already makes me feel happy about that. No earnings to worry about. Even better. Awesome. Okay, so if it's a step 2, if we're going to do a legitimate step 2 stock trade, thanks for that, Robert. We're going to take a look at American Airlines in just a second here. Love it. Step 2 stock trade. I'm sorry, step 2 options trade. What am I talking about here? We could look at March 17th. That's a bit far out. Wow, they don't really give us anything in between. December is too tight. You know, that's less than 2 months out now. March, we're going to have to take a look at March. They may add in more expirations later on. They may not. Who knows? Man, I really would like to see something like January, February. But okay, let's take a look at March for step 2 options trade, just to do a call. You know, it could work out because we look at this and my eyes go straight to the $60 strike price, and the open interest is there. It's at least 100. The bid-ask spread, not bad, right? That really isn't bad right there, looking at about 4% or so, maybe slightly less. And it's a delta of 64. So that works. We could do that step 2 options trade there on the March expiration. Let's go back and, okay, let's take a look at the chart again, SARK. And what if we were to structure a credit spread? Where would we want to put that? Okay, right now the price is 64. Here's the thing. Remember, I said we kind of missed the buy point, right? That's the nice thing about credit spreads. If you miss the buy point, it's still an option there. Like, you still could do that credit spread and have a high probability of that trade working out. If I'm going to structure a credit spread, I'm looking at least, let's see, a short strike of 58.59, somewhere in there. I don't want to get any higher. That's too aggressive. Step 1 trade is not a good buy point. Step 2 trade, definitely wouldn't do a buy point right now. But step 3, let's take a look at that. Remember, short strike 58.59, and we can go about a month out. November 18th, it's about a month out. Perfect. Let's take a look. So bull put 58.59, somewhere in here. So we could sell that one, buy that one. Ooh, yeah, even with selling the 58, they don't give you whole. I mean, that's 5% max ROI right there. That's not great. That's not great. So I might stay away from a credit spread on this one. Could potentially look at a debit spread if you wanted to. But anyway, again, 3 of these looked really good. Or the 2 of the 3 that we looked at looked really good for uptrends. Just this one, ALL, that will probably be falling off of that automatic scan after today with that move down right there. But these other 2, you know, if you're like, oh man, these are some solid uptrends that we found in a bearish market simply with the scan. We could throw that into a watch list and pull that up right next to the chart. So that's pretty sweet. All right, Robert, let's take a look at AAL, American Airlines. And you can see as I type that in there, it automatically jumps back to the recent. So we're no longer on that watch list that we looked at, right? So we're on the recents here. Okay, so earnings was today. Okay, earnings today. And they beat earnings expectation, which is great, especially for airlines in this time where they're still struggling quite a bit. Coming down, though, but that kind of makes sense if you look at the chart. Let's see if we can get a decent line, something like that. That may not be a perfect line. Let's pull that up there. Somewhere around there. Okay. You kind of have some downtrend. It's a slight downtrend, right? We could probably throw a line on the bottom as well. I'll drop a horizontal line real quick right about there. So you kind of have this descending wedge going on as well, Robert. I wouldn't want to enter anything right now. Definitely not to the bullish side. Potentially a bearish trade. Potentially. But keep in mind, like even if we were to do a step 2 put. Earnings was today, so the volatility is still really high. Let's take a look at the options here. We can just choose a month out. That's fine. Here's the volatility. I'm going to open that up. It's still high. You can see it was quite a bit higher. It started to come down a little bit. This yellow line being the average. So since the volatility is still high, as we're right around earnings time still, that's going to make the premiums more expensive, right? And that's going to make it harder. And if you get a little bit of that volatility crush, then the premiums are going to go down. So you could actually have the stock go your direction, if you're trading to the bear side, but not make any money or make very little money because you're losing that volatility premium within the options price. So it's just something to consider there as well. American Airlines is a lower dollar stock, which can get a little harder with the options sometime as well. Robert's saying, yeah, thinking bearish, but earnings and guidance was all good. So I'm conflicted. Yeah, it's the chart shows bearish. You can see today's candle bearish. It's still above the 5 though, or not. It's at the 5, I should say, not above, but it's at the 5. I think this is one of those situations where we're like, oh man, earnings is good. It's almost kind of bottomed out a little bit there. Came up. If it doesn't look real good to you, it's okay to pass it. Or even better yet, let's say, you know what, I'm not comfortable taking this trade with real money, but I'm going to go ahead and paper trade this. So we could totally do that. Let's just do that. Let's just do this right now. I make sure I'm in my paper trading account. There we go. We're going to go and we're going to just do a step 2 put. Do the December 16th. Come in here and here we go. We got the puts. I'm going to go up a couple, maybe just one. We'll buy the 15 strike price. See, it's a delta 65 right there. Going to buy that trade. I know I'm moving pretty quickly here, guys, but we're running a little bit out of time, but we'll finish up with this one right here. So again, I want to double check that I am in my paper trading account if I want to do that right here. We'll go ahead and just buy one contract, and I'm not going to mess right now with trying to negotiate the best price because I just want this one to go through for the paper trading experience here. So we're going to review that. I'm going to buy to open this put as well. You can see there. Submit that. Continue. Here we go. Executed immediately. If we tried to get right in the middle of the price, it might have taken a little bit longer. Executed right at 206. So there you go. It's only a $206 risk. That's not bad. You could throw a stop loss on there as well. You could monitor it. So then what would my plan be? Well, just looking at the chart here, I'm going to stop out. I'm not going to give it much room, frankly. If it comes up here to where my crosshairs are now, about 1450, maybe even 1440, if it gets above this downtrending line and above these wicks right here, I'm punching out. It's just not working, and that's okay. Where am I taking profit? Well, I think if it comes down here to about 1225, I'm going to get out. I want to be able to sell into, since it's a bearish trade, I'm going to sell into weakness. So I don't want to wait all the way until it gets down to this line, but 1225, that's moved down quite a bit. And I'm going to punch out with whatever profits I have at this point. Benjamin, glad that you made it on today. Glad you're liking what you're seeing as well. Guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. I want to leave you with one thing. We looked at some different strategies and even structured a credit spread in here, but of course that didn't work too well for us just because of the they just weren't giving us enough credit. But if you are interested in learning more about credit spreads, we have a step 3 course that is going to be taught this weekend. So tomorrow and Saturday, Ross Query, who is one of my favorite teachers, especially for credit spreads, he's going to be teaching that step 3 again all day tomorrow and all day Saturday. If you want to learn more about that, go ahead and email events@tradeway.com. I just threw in the chat for you, events@tradeway.com. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today. Benjamin, throw that one at me next week. We just ran out of time, but throw that one at me next week, and we'll look at that one next week for sure. All right, guys. Thanks for being on today. Really appreciate you guys.